Welcome, everybody. Welcome back to Crossover Sports Talk and Events. I have a very special guest with me here today. It's Drew, aka Brixx is King. Welcome to him, very good friend of mine. Just wanted to introduce you today with another special guest. As I was telling everybody that we were going to have more guests and special guests come on the show, and get more intakes from more people and continue spreading the channel, letting people know about it all over social media and all over the world or whatnot. What's going on with everything? Well, like to all the further ado, here's Drew, aka Brixx is King. Drew, please introduce yourself and what you do and like your interest in sports and about what's going on in the sports world in the NFL, Premier League, and we'll get into all that. But first, I'd like to introduce yourself.
What's up, bro? Appreciate you having me on for Zills, my guy. Brixx is King. I'm a rapper, producer here in Sacramento. Man, trying to run it up, put on for the city. Done a lot of beats for artists, some legends. Anybody from Conway to Machine to Mr. Fab, Smoke. There's a lot of people, but I'm 1/3 of the group Stained Glass with my guy Ye Knows and Marcus. Man. Big sports fan too, though. It's a big part of a lot of what I do is influenced by that. I got songs named after famous racehorses to famous soccer players. So the sports world is always kind of intertwined with music. You know what I mean? They're cousins. You know what I mean? So I've always kind of tried to blend those worlds together. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Drew, for letting everyone know that. Yeah, I know, especially out in the Bay Area. Yeah, that's where I'm from as well. Especially with Mr. Fab, knowing the Bay Area, the hyphy movement, and everything. Oh, I know the music and how people get down over there and everything. Included is very similar to here, also included in Sacramento. So definitely like to see all that, especially in the Bay Area, NorCal included, to see the music industry. I know you're very talented, all the work you've done with all the legends and everything. And shout out you guys, please. He's on Spotify, he's on YouTube, he's everywhere. Drew just did a couple shows out in Toronto, and he's out here now, and he's thriving and doing great, and he's got our full support. And check him out. Very talented writer, producer, whatever like to get into, and included everything with all of the work he does. So I'd like to also say like how you mentioned sports and music, how they intertwine together. I do agree. Not just the competitive spirit, especially with rappers around the world, music genres, and including with the sports world, like how we talk about the NFL, the Premier League, the La Liga, and including the NBA, or what goes on in every other sport, or baseball too. Like I know we like the Giants too, but we'll get into it. How do you think with music and sports, how do you think they intertwine together? Like from just a perspective, like how do you think they feed off of each other? I would say.
Yeah, I mean, I think on the sports side, being kind of on both sides of this thing, like before the game, right? You want to get into a certain mindset before a game, and one of the fastest way to get you where you want to be is putting on whatever music influences you, get you charged up, whatever gets you focused. That'll do it. So there's always that instant tie there. There's always been the old adage of like, all ball players want to be artists and all artists want to be ball players, right? So you look at, even outside of rap, you know what I mean? That's what I do. But you look at Bob Marley. Bob Marley was a huge soccer fan. Like, he was a fan of Brazil. One of his people in his entourage was Alan Cole, Skill Cole. He was always, teaching Bob new moves. And there's a ton of videos that you can see of Bob playing. Anywhere there was a little bit of open land, he turned it into a pitch, and he's kicking the ball around. And that's what got him motivated before he started writing music. He would play soccer. If you look at a ton of NBA players who had, Kobe Bryant used to rap, Allen Iverson would rap, Shaq, the list goes on and on, in all sports. So, where me and you were big 49er fans. I'm sure you probably, seen the 49ers rap songs from the 80s.
Yeah. Where the 49ers, I know the team made it and everything. I remember.
Yeah, there's that one. There's the other one too, though. Um, the one it was from 80. It was after the 88 win, I believe. So that was, there's that one too. So yeah, music and sports are just hand in hand.
Yeah, they intertwine and they go together. You're definitely right about that. Like all these rappers at Kobe, I remember Bob Marley being a Brazil fan, and also me visiting. I remember going to Jamaica last year too, and seeing all the people in their trajectory for soccer over there, and it's really big. It's big over there, and that's what it's really nice to see. But yeah, I definitely like how that is, and that just showcases all like the talent you come from and all the other things that you can incorporate with all that. But let's get right into it. I know we want to get into it with the sports and everything, and we'll start with I would say let's start with the World Cup and soccer in America. I think that's really like a big topic we can get on, like how we were I know we were mentioning and talking about before the World Cup how it was. We didn't expect it to be like this big and everything. Like especially here. But we were kind of like, you're seeing it, but like more, especially with social media era and all that. What do you think brought everything for the soccer world here in America after the World Cup, and how do you think the World Cup overall was? What was your thoughts on all that?
How do I think the World Cup was overall?
Yeah.
Overall, I think it was amazing. You had, every kind of angle you would want with sports, you kind of had it, this time. You had the underdogs, you had, Haiti, trying to make their way in the tournament. Cabo Verde trying to make their way, playing an amazing match against Argentina, almost beating them.
Yeah, that was fun to watch.
Yeah, so you have, the underdogs. We all know that in America, or North America, United States, soccer's we're a little behind on that, right? And usually the way to draw in casual fans is to get the bigger names to play well and people who they identify with. Right? So people know Messi, they might know Kylian Mbappe, etc. And in this tournament, this World Cup, all the stars played like stars. So maybe for the exception of Lamine Yamal, he didn't really. I think he had like this one goal against Saudi Arabia, but look at what Erling Haaland. If you tell somebody like you don't know what Erling Haaland is, you should watch him. He's a great player. If they sat down and watched him during the World Cup, they saw how many goals he scored. You saw how Jude Bellingham's fame went even crazier, at least in America. Brazil didn't have as long a run as me and you might have won it, but Vinicius played amazing. Messi, Messi was Messi. So I think that part was really important, is making sure the stars showed up on the biggest stages. You know what I mean? And they definitely did that.
Yeah, I remember you were talking to me about that before the World Cup. It was like, what's really going to show it is we're going to need to see the stars really show up in this World Cup. Then it's going to make them want to watch. Like you said, Erling Haaland, Kylian Mbappe, Lionel Messi, Cristiano Ronaldo. I know Lamine Yamal and all them, and then Vinicius Jr., and Jude Bellingham, Harry Kane, and they all of them showed up. I know Lamine Yamal, with the exception, was a part of a great Spain team, right? And for España, right? There's part of a great team defensively, but he did, overall with part of the team being a part of a winning team and still helping them win and being a part of that. But yeah, for sure. It was really good to see. I thought it was amazing too. It really kept us occupied, including, throughout, to see everything in the world, and then just like how the summer can be dull with sports other than just baseball going on, but with the World Cup every 4 years, especially being this year in 2026, it was amazing to see. And now people are like, we're gonna have to wait 4 more years. People are saying that was amazing to watch. I want to see it like the following year. But I was like, that's what makes it more interesting. That's what makes it more intriguing. It keeps you locked in, like, oh, what if this player is another great in 4 years? How is this player going to be? This player might not be there in that World Cup, but that, like you said, that gets you enticed to watch Premier League, La Liga, MLS, whatever it can be, to watch more about soccer here in America. And I think that's what you're absolutely right. Brought the impact for sure. Yeah, and I want to give a shout out to Amin the Dream right here, and he's just been commenting and saying, yeah, it definitely was World Cup for sure. And he says, what's up for Fazil and Brixx? Yeah, it was great to watch. I know although our team didn't win, me and Brixx were part of the Brazil fanhood. Since I was a kid, I know, and Drew as well. So that was great to see. And what do you think of Real Madrid so far, part of the La Liga. I know Premier League just began. I know Liverpool just tied 2-2 against Newcastle last week, and Man United lost their first game. And do you think Arsenal can repeat? And what do you think of Madrid for this upcoming season?
Yeah, I think Arsenal is really good. And I think they can. I think the Premier League things are shaking up a little bit. There's a lot of new coaches, coming in, into the league that can shake things up. I think the team to probably watch out for, I would say, is Chelsea. Chelsea, Morgan Rogers, now Xabi Alonso coaching them. I know he had a rough stint, at Real Madrid, but he is a good coach, and I think he's going to have players that are going to buy into what he wants to do. Esteval, I think, is one of the next young great players in the world. So I think Chelsea could give Arsenal a tough time. Manchester United their trajectory is going back up. They were down for a little while, but they've kind of righted the ship a little bit. Bruno Fernandes, one of the best players in the world. Marcus Rashford's back. I never thought I'd see that. It's going to be competitive for sure in the Premier League. But being a Real Madrid fan, of course, La Liga is, I'm always have my eye on the most. We won today, 5-1. Got a 4-1. Got a hat trick from Mbappe. Vinny, my favorite player, Vinny Jr., he scored a goal. Jude Bellingham last season for club and country, it was, he was battling the injury, came into the season with a bad shoulder that he kind of, just kept played through the year before that, and it carried over to the beginning of the season. So he wasn't in his best form to start last season. And then Thomas Tuchel left him off the England squad for a bit. There were kind of rumblings about his attitude for club and country. And people just kind of playing with Jude's name, which was tough because, a couple years ago when we won Champions League, he was, one of the 3 best players in the world, but since the World Cup, he had an amazing World Cup, and he's carried that energy over into this season. So today, he didn't score a goal. He did score a goal on Saturday on our first win, but today he was just all over the field defensively, just taking possessions back, making plays that led to goals, assists, just being that all-around midfielder, goal-to-goal midfielder that you want. And he's primed for an amazing year. So if Jude is playing like that all year, mixed with what's already up front with Mbappe and Vinny, Yan Diamande, the young 19-year-old we just got that we brought in, he got some minutes today. I mean, Real Madrid is loaded. One thing with Florentino Perez, he won the election, and he's back in charge. And 2 years in a row without a trophy is not acceptable at the Bernabeu. It's just not. You know what I'm saying? So, the back line, our back four was getting injured a lot, getting older. Redid that. Brought in Cucurella, Denzel Dumfries, Ibrahima Konate. So, short up the back line.
Konate.
Yeah, he played today. And, one thing that Real Madrid's been kind of lacking since their last Champions League win was getting the midfield back to where it was when it was Toni Kroos and Luka Modric. Those are legends you have to replace. And Camavinga's a good player. Tchouaméni's a good player. He's hurt right now, but you still want to get some more depth there and things. So they brought in Bernardo Silva. He's helping. It's just loaded. And then Arda Güler is becoming one of the best young midfielders in the world, too. So, yeah, Barca's playing well. They're a great shot. You got to deal with them, but we're right there. And we're going to, Champions League. I mean, we want to win La Liga, of course. You want to win Spain. You want to win the Copa del Rey. But Champions League, man, you want to be the kings of Europe. So, it's coming. It's coming.
Yeah, it's coming. I agree. My father-in-law is a very big Real Madrid fan. I know, that's where, when you start talking about them, it's like, oh yeah, you guys are getting along really well. But definitely, I do really like their squad. There's always seems like always them. There is Atletico Madrid, there is Bayern Munich, and all them all going at it, but it's always at the end you got those two. It's always like Niners Cowboys or like it's Madrid and Barca, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's just they're always going to be going at it and be going from there. But definitely, it's going to be definitely fun to watch. I'm excited to see how Champions League goes, and then how how Madrid does this season, along with all the players coming back from the World Cup, getting that rest and getting their feet under in La Liga again. So it'll be definitely good. I'm going to mention some sponsors before we get to our next segue to our next topic. I'd like to mention Trailer Pros, expert trailer repair and custom metal fabrication, reliable mobile built to last. You can reach them at 916-812-2513. That's your best trailer needs. If you guys need any, trailer repairs or anything, you can best to reach out to them. Also with real estate with AJ Chand and Michelle Chand, real estate and loans, you can reach them at 916-549-2425. The link's going to be in all my description below in the description box. Their broker's numbers there, license numbers there, along with their email. And also like to mention Giancarlo and Zena Camarano. They're licensed financial professionals. They help individuals and families build generational wealth, eliminate debt, and protect their future through global financial impact, which is GFI. And you can reach out to them. Their contact's going to be right here below. Also in the description box below, that's where they'll be at. All right, moving over to our next topic, segueing from, Premier League, La Liga, soccer, and the World Cup. We'll get right
now,
to...
And also, too, right now, I'm actually watching the Leagues Cup. It's on the phone in the background. So that's MLS and Liga MX playing. And the Mexican teams have been dominating in this quarterfinal. So if you haven't been watching that tournament, it's definitely a good one, too. So.
Perfect. We'll definitely keep a look at that, everyone. Make sure you guys check it out, as Drew was saying. And then, yeah, for sure. We'll do. And getting over to our next topic, so we'll be talking about the NFL, which is where me and Drew we love to talk about most of the time. This is the sport where I feel like is the best sport. I mean, other than soccer is the best sport globally. I agree on that. But American-wise, I would say I have to go with the football and our love for football and knowing the history of football, including how Drew knows the Niners and everything really well. We'll get right into them. But Drew, what did you think of this upcoming NFL season of teams, sleeper teams, and do you think the Seahawks can repeat as Super Bowl champions? What do you think, and what do you think of sleeper teams upcoming year, and how do you think our Niners are going to do? We'll get right into them too after.
Sleeper teams is a good question. I know a lot of people are high on the Saints this year. I think they can make a run in the NFC South.
I heard about them too. Yep, Shaw and them. Yeah, the talent, the roster wise. Yep.
Yeah, Tyler Shuck, see if he takes that next step as a rookie quarterback. He's for a rookie, he's older. I think he's like 26, 27 years old or something like that. A lot of times, traditionally, when you see older quarterbacks like that, it doesn't pan out, right? You look at like Brandon Weeden or Chris Winkley. Usually, those older quarterbacks who come in later don't always pan out well. But Shuck had a good rookie season, so we'll see how that goes. The defensive line's good, Cameron Jordan's back for another season. Chase Young had his best season as a pro last year, so maybe he can have that middle of the career late bloom and be the player people thought he was going to be. Coming out of Ohio State. So the Saints are somebody you can look at. Let me see, sleeper. Trying to think off the top of my head. I mean, the Colts started off the season really hot last year, and then they got injured. Daniel Jones got hurt. That slowed them down, but the NFC South always seems like the AFC South always seems like it's kind of open, because Jacksonville had a good season, but you just never know with the Jags. So
that's true. That is true.
They could be 12-5, or they can be 8-9. You just never know. So you see how that goes. The Texans are really good. I mean, you think they're the favorite in that division, but it's also going to be a lot about how C.J. Stroud develops, because he's kind of regressed the last 2 years. He had a horrible playoffs last year, so maybe the Colts, if they stay healthy, they can make a push and push the Texans a little bit. Those are two I can maybe think of right now. I'm trying to think off the top of my head, but
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's kind of hard to think off the top of your head if you just really do a whole deep dive on them like how it is. But I definitely can see those teams. Like everyone was talking, there was some people that were talking about the Saints, especially with their roster wise, how they're gonna do, and with Tyler Show and like you said, Chase Young coming off his best season, Chris Olave, what they're gonna do with Alvin Kamara. I don't know about Taysom Hill. Taysom Hill's not there anymore. And then, but they do have a pretty good defense and a pretty good O-line. That is true. There was some talent on that roster overall, and especially with Kellen Moore's second year going in. Him being a Super Bowl winning OC, developing that team, and I think they can win. Like you said, anybody can win that division. Like we have the Bucks, like the Bucks kind of like lost some guys, but they're always at the end, Baker Mayfield, Todd Bowles, and know what they're saying. They're saying they should have fired Todd Bowles last year and whatnot, but I still think he deserves another chance. I think like the team is still pretty good, but they just got back Vita Vea, but Emeka Ibuka and all them, there's talent there. And yeah, definitely. I like them. The Panthers, you never know. Like you said, they never know with this division. They won the division at 8-9. And with Bryce Young and Ted McMillan, and they have some talent over there, and Rico Dowdle and all them, and Chuba Hubbard. Dowdle's gone, or Chuba Hubbard's still there. But they're still very talented, and just including adding what's his name, Jim Phillips, right? Off the edge, they signed him for a big signing, so the Panthers can be primed for good. And I'm forgetting one more team in that division, probably. Who can win it? Saints, Panthers.
The Falcons are
the Falcons. Yeah, the Falcons. Yeah, that them. I don't know about them because they don't know what's the answer at quarterback right now with Tua and Michael Penix. And I'm hearing he's struggling there and whatnot. But I mean, the season hasn't started yet. But their roster wise needs a rebuild. I mean, I think Raheem Morris did have them high in sacks last year, but I mean, he's not there anymore. He's with us now. He's with the Niners.
And James Pierce. James Pierce had a good rookie year, but he's
suspended. He's suspended, and Jalen Walker's out for the year too. Yeah. They lost some. They had some real talent there, like you said. Yeah, James Pierce is suspended, so they might have a hard time trying to move forward this season. But definitely, I could see them. Others. Any other sleepers you can think of? Probably, like you said, the Jags. We don't know about the Texans. I love their defense. If CJ Stroud goes back to CJ Stroud of his rookie season, and the Jags maintain from next year off what they can build, they did lose some guys too. So I don't know where they can be, but like you said, the Texans still have the best defense. So you're right. We should keep them as the favorites in the AFC South.
Yeah, I mean, my least favorite team in all of sports, in the history of sports, is the Dallas Cowboys. But you never know with Dallas. I mean, they missed the playoffs the last 2 years.
Yeah, they look good. They have a good roster.
But the Cowboys' offense is always going to be there. But now it's just about if the defense steps up. They got D winners from the Niners. To help shore up that linebacker. I forgot
Caleb Downs, right? The safety.
Yeah, Caleb Downs. They also have the rookie pass rusher from Central Florida. I forgot his name, but
I think we were talking about Malachi Lawrence, right?
Yeah,
Central Florida. Yeah, and then they have Quinn and William and Rashawn Gary from the Packers.
Rashawn Gary. I couldn't. That was the whole thing, right? When Jerry traded Michael Parsons to Green Bay, he said we need to stop the run.
Yeah.
And I to his point,
I didn't understand it.
I felt like it was a bit of a dig at Michael Parsons for whatever reason. I mean, I get why, because the guy kind of ugly at the end. Michael Parsons is an amazing player, so there's no real hole in his game. But one of the things to me with Dallas is they kind of have a label of being soft. And one way to quell that is to stop the run, be tough in the trenches. Right? They always have a pretty good offensive line, but defensively, you can always. The last several years, you can just roll over Dallas. They, Dak and CeeDee Lamb. They're going to have to put up a ton of points for them to be competitive. And now they want to get that defense short of Williams and Gary. They might be able to tighten up a little bit. So if they get that figured out, Dallas, they could be a wild card team, get back into the playoffs. I don't want them to. And I want to make sure the Niners do their part to make sure it doesn't happen when we play them. I can put Dallas as a sleeper. Let's see, maybe they can make some noise. And they get bounced in the first round like normal, but
that's true. That's true. They face us,
on the wild card.
Yeah, they get bounced a lot.
Get beat by the Panthers or something.
Yeah, that's usually how it always ends up with them, which is the freaking funny part is they're gonna have such a good year. Oh my God, the Cowboys #1 offense, 30 points a game. Dak is having an MVP type of year. CeeDee Lamb's going crazy. George Pickens, Ferguson, a tight end, a great O-line, this and that. They have great pass rushers, but the defense, they walk in. Look what happens when they see Green Bay. 48 dropped on their head over there. They lose to a team like, I don't know who was in the first round, like some Giants some years, and then some other years, like you're like, how did they lose? How did they lose to this type of team? Or and I was like, they should have won. I was like, yeah, but that's typically how the Cowboys have been in this century since what's his name, Troy Aikman, Michael Irvin, Emmitt Smith, and Jimmy Johnson days. It has not been the same since. I would say is all playoff failures, and or they get bounced by the Niners or something happens, or the Packers or somebody. So. Or the Giants, but they're definitely a sleeper. I do like them. I think they might. That's the thing with them. People are kind of like out of Philly right now, but even though Philly has a good team, Washington, can they have a bounce back year from last year with all their injuries? They made it to the NFC Championship back in 2024-25 season, and then you have there's another team, the Giants. The Giants did a lot, like getting John Harbaugh. Getting a lot of players for Dart on offense, getting probably Cam Scannable back, and their defense, I don't know. They may trade. I don't know Thibodeau. They were saying because they already traded Dexter Lawrence. They want to see what Abdul Carter and what others can do on that side.
But that's another sleeper too. Is the Bengals?
Yes.
Yes.
You're right.
They're all everything with them is predicated on staying healthy, keeping Joe Burrow healthy. Joe Burrow is healthy. They're going to have a shot. I don't know what happened with Jamar Chase's injury. I know he got hurt yesterday in practice. He had a nasty-looking knee thing potentially.
I saw that.
I haven't heard anything today though, so hopefully, he's kind of just day to day. But if they stay healthy, they've done a lot to retool that defense, signing Dexter Lawrence and stuff like that, and trying to get that defense fixed. If they do, they can make some noise in that division because the Ravens had a down year. The Steelers, you don't know what they're going to be with Aaron Rodgers and. The Browns are the Browns, you know what I mean? So, the Bengals, if the Bengals can stay healthy, they have a shot too. So that's another one. Yeah,
definitely. I think, with the schedule and the way they added on their defense, and if Joe Burrow stays healthy, like Joe Burrow even talked about, like, it's always if this is like, I want it to happen this year. People were saying, was this second to last year or last year in Cincinnati, because the way he was talking, like, if we don't win here, if I don't stay healthy, I'm out of here or something. But they already paid him and stuff, and already in, like you said, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and that offense that they have in Cincinnati. And if he's healthy, they can definitely win that division, I think. Even with Baltimore in there, Pittsburgh still always being 8 or 9, maybe 10 wins, somehow finding a way to win the division in the end. We don't know. It depends on Rodgers and Mike Tomlin's not there no more.
Not there anymore. So
Mike McCarthy's there now, so we don't know. And it's Aaron Rodgers' last season, but like you said, Cincinnati has the best overall chance, I think, other than Baltimore. But Baltimore still has a very good team. I like Jesse Minter as a head coach. I know he was Chargers DC, but he was good there. And Lamar Jackson's still there, Derrick Henry's still there, and you still have Zay Flowers and as long as you have Lamar, he's like your whole offense too, along with Derrick Henry and. Their defense, they can fly around. So they're still going to be that defensive side, Baltimore, and having Lamar on the offensive end. But they're always a tough out. Do you think? What do you think in the AFC West? I know we talked about this a bit with the Raiders. I think they'll be more competitive this year. The Chargers, any leap with them, and then I know you like the Broncos in the division. And then what do you think of? Do you think the Chiefs have a bounce back here with Mahomes? What do you think of the AFC West before we get to the NFC?
Yeah, I'm a big believer in the Broncos. I was telling you, I picked my Super Bowl last year was 49ers Broncos. That's why I had.
Could have happened. I believe that could have happened.
Yeah, I think the Broncos would have got there if Bo Nix didn't get hurt. They would have made the Super Bowl. I think that defense and Zach Allen and Benito and Surtain, that defense is, to me, insane on every level. Every level. They're amazing. So. They added Jalen Waddle to get more explosive in the pass game.
I like that a lot that they did that. They gave up a lot for him, but I think Bo Nix needed someone like that. And
when you feel like you have a shot, you have young talent, You got to swing for the fences. No time to be timid. You know, this is the Broncos team they've been waiting for a long time. You know, they've been pretty inconsistent as a franchise since the Peyton Manning era ended. And you know, be it when you're in that window where you feel like you can really compete for a title, you got to be aggressive as you can. You know, you always have to balance being aggressive for now and also without mortgaging your future. But if you have the opportunity to bring in somebody who could be a difference maker at a need position, you do it, and they did that. So I like that move. I think when it comes to the Chiefs, man, it's funny. My friends always say I'm a Chiefs hater, and I am. I'm a Chiefs hater.
I think we all are.
I'm not going to deny it, but I said, I mean, to me, the Chiefs have been trending downward the last 3 seasons. It's funny. It was funny to me, like how a lot of I remember when Eric Bieniemy was first there, and a lot of people were wondering why he didn't get a head coaching job, et cetera, et cetera. And it was funny when he left, that offense has been going down ever since. And it's funny now he's back. So we'll see if Eric Bieniemy being back in KC kind of helps them out. Mahomes, I thought the last 3 seasons, if you look at the Chiefs' offense, it's very inconsistent. Their running game was terrible with Pacheco and who was the other one?
And Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
Well, him too, but can't think
someone else. I'm missing some guy.
But it wasn't very good. They didn't run the ball well. And the receivers left a lot to be desired. Rashee Rice never really was working the way he should have worked out. Mm-hmm. To me, like Taquan Thornton was like their best big play receiver. So Kelsey definitely lost a step. But they did, they brought Kenneth Walker in to bring the running game back up. So we'll see how that goes. But the last couple of years, the Chiefs' best offensive play was 3rd and 6 and Mahomes scramble and get a first down. And I want to see how he moves now coming off the ACL injury, how confident he is moving, because he's going to have to, that was a big part of how they were kind of sneaking by. It was a lot of this of Mahomes making crafty plays like that. Because the 2019, 2020 bombs away Chiefs, like that's been gone for a long time.
Yeah, that Tyreek Hill, that track meet offense, I remember that one. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it hasn't been there in a long time. They of course like 2 years ago that year when they got beat by the Eagles in the Super Bowl. If you remember, like every week they were just skating by.
That year they got sold like blocked field goals, winning, like last second stuff. Hoorahs. They went like 15-2 that year. They were teams were like afraid against them, the regular season against them, and then they walked into the playoffs, and I think they saw they squeaked by the Bills, and then I forgot who they beat in the divisional round that year. But
they squeaked by the Ravens, wasn't it?
Ravens, I think, lost to Buffalo, and they missed that 2-point conversion. Remember in Buffalo, Mark Andrews made that drop. That was that year. I don't know who they played in the divisional round that year. They played somebody. But they lost. I remember them always beating the Bills in the AFC Championship game, and I was like, the Bills got them this year. The Bills should beat them this year, and they almost did. If Allen converted that 1-4 down, but Dawson.
What year was that when? Who was it? Zay Flowers? Who fumbled on the goal line?
That was the AFC Championship. That was the year we won that same day. We won that same day against the Lions in the championship. Yes. We lost to the Chiefs that year in the Super Bowl. But that was the one where he fumbled, and then Lamar threw a pick in the end zone too. So the Ravens were driving up and down the field with them in that game. That was a crazy part. But that Zay Flowers fumble was the difference of the game, and it was right at the goal line. Because if he scored that, the Ravens probably win that game.
For sure.
It flips the game because the Chiefs ended up scoring a field goal off of that, which was like a 10-point swing. And the final score ended up being like 17-10? So something like that. So like that was the difference. And everyone was like, oh, the Ravens are going to beat them today. I was like, my dad told me too that day, was like, I was at that Niners NFC champ game. I remember it clear as day. It's like, no, I think just the better coaching, the more experience. He says the Chiefs are going to win today. And I was just like, I want Baltimore because I was like, feel like even though we lost against them on that Christmas day, I just feel like we can move the ball on them. And I just don't want to play Devil Mahomes in the Super Bowl. I said in the Super Bowl, right? I don't want to play Voodoo Magic Chiefs. And I was like, something's going to happen where we can play perfect but still lose to them, right?
Yeah.
And I was just like, and that ended up happening twice. And I was like, I feel like the Niners would have probably beat the Ravens that year because they were like 500 total yards against them. It just had tilt-tip passes. Brock did not play good against them like Christmas Day, but definitely remember that game. And
yeah, Brock lost the MVP that night.
That night, and the funny part was, seeing that live, and it was bad. But I mean, it happened, and I do agree with you. I think Denver, they got pit bulls on defense, and I think like there should still be the favorites to win the division. And I mean, we're facing them week 4, so that's gonna be a tough one. But I mean, I still think the Niners can win that game. You know, it's just one of those weird matchups, but they're at home, which is good. We're not playing in Denver, which I like it playing over here, so we should see how that one goes. And overall, what do you think of the NFC North with the Lions, Packers, Bears, and Vikings? This is a very interesting division.
Yeah, because, for sure.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna give the Lions. The Lions had a down year last year, but I still think they're super talented. I think they shake back. I think the Lions shake back, and I think they win the division. I would like to believe in the Bears. I just still don't know if that defense is retooled enough to really be a threat. I think, I do like DeAndre Swift a lot. I'm also a big fan of Luther Burden.
I like him a lot too.
Receiver. I was a big fan of him in college. I mean, he was a first round. If you look at like a lot of the early mock drafts before last season, Luther Burden was a top 10, top 12 pick. In a lot of mock drafts. Different things happen during the season. Your team don't play as well, injuries, stuff like that. So we slipped a little bit in the draft. Luther Burden is a super, super talented player. So I know he's gotten like a little hamstring or something during training camp, but if he's healthy week 1 and going forward, Luther Burden can be a problem. That's one reason why they probably felt comfortable getting rid of DJ Moore because they had him. Swift is a baller. He's super good all around back. Caleb Williams is super talented too. He just has to get more. The accuracy thing is weird with him because 59% completion percentage in today's NFL is. I mean, that was good in 1987. You know what I'm saying? Like, but
yeah.
But in 2026, just the way offenses
people are under 70%. Yeah, 70%.
Yeah, you got to be 60,
70.
You got to be 65 and up at least. You know what I mean? Especially with a guy like Ben Johnson. You look at what he did with Jared Goff.
Jared Goff, yeah.
Goff is always one of Goff's things. He might not have necessarily athleticism or certain physical tools as other guys, but he's super accurate. And I know that's something that Ben Johnson really wants Caleb to work on. So we'll see how that goes with him. So I don't know. The Bears, I can see them maybe stepping back a little bit this year. Minnesota, that quarterback situation is a mess. And it's going to be interesting to see how long they can keep Justin Jefferson happy if they have another year where Kyler Murray's he's been named the starter. And Kevin O'Connell's a good coach. He can coach up quarterbacks, but it's like we haven't seen Kyler Murray be good in like 5 years. So it's like, what's that going to be? They definitely don't want to go back to JJ McCarthy. That's something that should have never happened in the first place. But I know they have some injuries at safety, so they might bring Harrison Smith back. So we'll see how that goes on the defensive side. The Packers are another weird team. I feel like the Packers, you're waiting to see if Michael Parsons gets back. They're talking about he's probably going to start on PUP. He's eyeing trying to get back by week 6 when they play against Dallas. I know that's what he's chasing. I know they brought in Zaire Franklin from Indy. He's a really good linebacker. So they have players on defense. Offensively, Jordan Love is super hit and miss for me personally. And also their skill guys, Christian Watkins and those guys. I don't know. I don't always totally trust them, but Matt LaFleur can always, he can coach up offense. So I'm not totally sold on them. So I felt like the Lions, to me, are the most consistent, ready to go team. I like Dan Campbell. I remember watching when the Lions were on Hard Knocks. This is before they got really good. I remember just watching it like, man, Dan Campbell, when he's preaching, I can see people
he's
buying
very passionate.
But the only thing is with coaches like that is dangerous, though, with coaches like that. because they rely a lot on feeling and emotion.
Yeah, that's
And
what a lot of people were saying.
The X's and O's part of it left the building with Ben Johnson. And, so you wonder, like, because sometimes, when you're the rah-rah, run through the wall,
head coach, yeah.
Sometimes that can go stale, especially to the veterans. We heard these passes. You might rile up some rookies or some undrafted free agents or some guys coming in, trying to, retool their career. But how long can that message stay fresh to the whole team? How long Amon-Ra and to Jared Goff and Aiden Hutchinson,
Jahmyr Gibbs, right?
Yeah. Like how long does that stay fresh to them? So we'll see. But like I said, all that said, I'm taking the Lions. The Lions to shake back if they win the division.
I definitely think that division is super interesting. Like Chicago won it right last time, and then the Packers were a wild card, and then Minnesota's like a weird. They don't know what's going on with Kyler Murray and McCarthy, even though he named Kyler Murray the starter already, and I think he's going to be. I think he'll be good underneath Kevin O'Connell. Like you said, he's a quarterback guru too, and the Vikings have talent on offense. There's Justin Jefferson and Addison there, but I still don't think they're going to win the division. The Lions, like, is super talented, can be very good. Like you said, underneath Dan Campbell, that rah-rahness can go away. Can only be for so good, the passion and everything. But what if you're not winning? Like you said, the message does it say the same? What are you going to do? Where's the X's and O's behind that? That's the difference maker. Ben Johnson went to Chicago, and his does not always rah-rah. Maybe there's your rah-rah throw in there, like every coach does, but it's more X's and O's and schematics, talents behind it, and that's why the Bears ended up winning the division, I feel like. And the Packers kind of fell off when Micah went down, and their offense became a little stale with Jordan Love and all of them. I know they don't have a true number one receiver. Josh Jacobs is still there, very talented and great, but their defense is still good. But like you said, it's a weird division. I think it's still up for grabs between those three teams. But as of right now, who would you think it would still probably be, because Chicago did lose like their whole safety room. They did draft some. I did like what they did in the draft. Who they got, Thielman in the draft as a safety and everything. But you would probably want to think maybe Green Bay probably going to end up winning that division. But we'll see how it goes. And moving to I think our division. Let's get to our team. Let's get to the Niners, the Rams, the Cardinals. We'll get into the Niners offseason. And what do you think? Especially everyone's talking about Seattle winning the Super Bowl, coming off of it. Lost some guys. It's still going to be good, very good, but think they'll be still the same. And the Rams, everyone's already penciling them to be at home in the Super Bowl next year on Valentine's Day. Myles Garrett, Jalen Watson, Trent McDuffie, Stafford's potential last year. Puka, Nakua, the three tight end set they have, and Cam Akers, and also included Devontae Adams there, and that talent. What do you think, man? Yep. With Kyron Williams, Kyron Williams being there, and them, and then the Niners adding Mike Evans, drafting Romello Height, drafting Deshaun Stribling, getting Fred, Nick back, Michael Williams coming back. Is our safety room a question mark? I like Raheem Morris' switch, even though losing Robert Saleh, but Shanahan coming back. What do you think of all this? Especially with the offseason drama going on with, as you see all with Jed York, Shanahan's crash, and injuries in and out, the substation. Oh my God! But the Niners still find a way to get wins and make the playoffs. What do you think of the NFC West and the Super Bowl threats, and how is it going to pan out?
Yeah, I mean, so other teams. We'll start with the other teams first. I mean, so it's funny because there's always talk about the Niners and their injuries, but you look at the Rams, man. We kind of talked about it earlier today, man. Like Myles Garrett hasn't practiced. They got him, and he ain't been on the field. So I'm sure that has to be a bit concerning for Rams fans and just what's going on with him and how ready he'll be. I mean, look at Myles Garrett. He's a physical specimen. He's, we know how first ballot Hall of Famer is going to walk in. But, something's going on with that knee, and it doesn't seem right, and it hasn't gotten any better. So we'll see, see how that goes. Puka Nakua, same thing. Like, where is he at? Like, that's your number one guy on offense. Because to move the ball downfield between the 20s, it's going to be Kyron Williams and Puka, right? Devontae Adams scored a lot of touchdowns last year, but Devontae at this point right now, and he's still great in his role, but he's really been the red zone guy for Matt Stafford. So when you're moving the ball between the 20s, it's going to be those guys. And if you don't have Puka, the offense is going to look a lot different. But But they have really good tight ends too, so they figure it out. Stafford is like he's found the fountain of youth, so they can still maybe figure some things out. But no Puka and no Myles Garrett is gonna make things a little let's make it a little weird. But one thing, the Rams' biggest deficiency last year was that corner. Their corner stunk, and they fixed that. Bringing in Trent McDuffie and stuff that was a great move for them. So they're super aggressive. If you remember, even back when we got Christian McCaffrey, the Niners had to really make a move because the Rams were trying to get him. So this whole thing could be different right now. Christian McCaffrey could be on the Rams right now. You know what I mean? Like the Rams, when they get super aggressive and they're playing to win. There's always the talk about in pro sports in general, but there's not many teams that are really competing for a Super Bowl every year or competing for a championship or whatever sport. The Rams are one of those teams that are always competing and trying to win. That makes them dangerous because if they find something they don't like, they're going to fix it. Even right now, even going back, trying to see if Aaron Donald comes back or not. So right now, I kind of like the Rams more than Seattle.
Me too.
Yeah, Seattle is the defending champs, so they earn our respect. They beat our ass. Twice in a month last year. So you gotta give them their respect. They're super, even when you watch them on Hard Knocks, they're just super tough. Mike McDonald's tough.
Yeah, it's a tough-nosed team.
They're super. They kind of built. Mike McDonald, of course, came from the Ravens. And it's kind of like that Ravens kind of energy he brought to this team, when you got Leonard Williams up front kind of holding it down and DeMarcus Lawrence and then, Ernest Jones and all these guys, like they just got a bunch of dogs. And then like you bring in
Nicky Manwari.
Bring him in as a rookie, like Witherspoon, he's a beast. And then like they go get Terry and Arnold, a super talented young player. Of course, you have whatever situation that was with the kidnapping and all that. Like that was kind of crazy, but if that gets cleared up and say he does miss 6 games or something, now you have a fresh corner who's super talented to add to your rotation for your defensive back room. So they do have good players, but then it's like on the offensive side they lost Kenneth Walker, Javarian Price, the rookie. Like he's good. We'll see what happens with him. JSN baller. Does it now? The question is Sam Darnold the guy you've seen the last 2 years, or does he revert back to Jets, Panthers, Sam Darnold?
Yeah, that's what everyone wants to see.
Does it kind of do this? Kind of come back to the median. I could see that happening.
We're not being haters, everyone. We're just telling the truth. Because it was weird. Yeah, I could see that happening too. That's the funny part. It was like, okay, that number 1 seed game, like you said, week 18, we should have won that game. I know if it wasn't for that bobble off of McCaffrey's hands or that 3rd and 17 run, we probably win that game with a broken team. Like you said, and the defense played lights out. And Sam Darnold almost gave that game away with his fumble, and if he didn't lucky to recover that fumble, and he did not play good at all in that game. He just made 1-2 throws, and winning this the game that he probably needed to win, that he kind of showed it was that game, the NFC Championship game against the Rams. But like you said, the Rams could have won that game. Could have won that game. I don't know what they were doing on 4th down over there, honestly, but they couldn't stop a breathing cold, which is why they got Myles Garrett, McDuffie, and Watson. But like you said, they're coached well. I think they added Trayvon Diggs too, right, along with Shiraan Arnold, right? Yeah. So we'll see how they.
I'm glad they signed Trayvon Diggs because he'll be a victim.
Yeah. I know Shanahan's gonna want to attack him, even though he's like the jumper miss, like he runs for picks like he did in Dallas. He had that 1 year where he had like 6 or 7 picks, and it was just all pick sixes, I think. Like
but he was doing it to like Zach Wilson.
It was like boomer bust too, and like you said, like he would get pick sixes, but then he would get burned for like a 50-yard, 80-yard touchdown, on the very next drive.
You remember that's when Dallas was like. They were like blowing teams out, but if you remember their schedule, they were playing like a lot of bad teams.
They were playing like all the crappy teams. Like the Patriots were not good that year.
Yeah, this is like when Mac Jones was still struggling. He was
struggling. Mac Jones didn't have Shanahan or Josh McDaniels.
Yeah. So it was like it was kind of fool's gold. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing Trayvon Diggs. Put them on strip.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. I want to see that. Exactly. I don't know. We are playing Dallas this year, which is cool. Back in Jerry's world in November time. So that'll be Thanksgiving turkey for them just a few weeks early that'll be food. Trayvon Diggs is food to Deshaun Stribling and probably Mike Evans too.
That's a fact.
And I mean, I want to
look at well, those are the division before you get tonight. I mean, Arizona, they're probably going to be one of the worst teams in the league, if not the worst. They just don't have a lot. Their best things they have are young. Carson, it's funny. Jacoby Brissett's been a quarterback I always liked. I remember I'm a Florida State fan. That's my college team. I remember we played against NC State. I was like, who the hell is this dude who's just cutting us up? Like, he was killing us. Like, Jacoby Brissett, okay. So I never forgot who he was. And so when he got to the league and he's found a way to stay in the league, I'm not surprised because
he's been okay. He's been good backup. He's been a good backup.
Yeah, he's been a good backup. I mean, even last year, like, he threw for a lot of yards last year. So he's not going to be the guy to fix your team or the turnaround, but that stopgap quarterback, until you bridge guy till you find your real guy.
The Cardinals get Arch Manning or somebody.
Yeah, I mean this quarterback draft coming up. You look at Dante Moore or
saying,
you look at all these guys, Arch Manning, Lenore Sellers,
Sellers, yep.
Carr.
What's his name from Ole Miss?
Trinidad Chambliss.
Chambliss, yeah.
Yeah, so there's a lot of quarterbacks. So the Cardinals will be trying to be in the run for him, even though Carson Beck is perking people's ears up out there because he's had a good preseason. He's had a good camp. So people kind of believe in him. Of course, they got Jeremiah Love, but I think he's battling a high ankle sprain, which is fun, what's interesting because I watched him a lot in college, and then watching him even in like this preseason, he's a very explosive runner. I'm not saying he's Adrian Peterson because Adrian Peterson is my favorite running back of all time. But when you watch Adrian Peterson run and the way you had to tackle him, it lent him to get hurt because he ran so violent. And guys have to just kind of tug at you and grab your leg and twist your leg down to get you down because it's so hard. It's hard to just form and wrap tackle those guys. And I remember seeing Jeremiah get tackled during the preseason, and when he got hurt later on in the game, I'm like, I saw that coming because it looked Adrian Peterson-ish to me. So. We'll see hopefully he gets healthy. I mean, doesn't play well against us, but I think Jeremiah is a baller.
We'll see him early in week 3. So yeah. Possibly.
And then, we'll see. Michael Wilson's a good player. We'll see if Marvin Harrison can take the next step. He's been kind of a disappointment since he's got to Arizona. But
he was the 4th pick of the draft. In 24.
But their defense isn't good.
Yeah, their food. Yeah, we're gonna cook them up. I know what's gonna happen. Sure. But definitely see with you on that. They're gonna be in the run for a top pick. Definitely, they want that stop bridge, which they'll add to their team next year. Seeing what LaFleur can do out there, his brother.
Yeah.
They're all part of the Niners tree too. All these LaFleurs, these Kevin O'Connells, these McVays, and all of them. So, Michael Wilson, Jeremiah Love, these great players that come. What Arizona can do, but definitely another rebuild for you. So they're the outlier in the NFC West. But before we get to the Niners, in our team, what do you think? They have some comments here from Amin the Dream. Excited to see what defensive tackle Osa that we traded with the Cowboys does this year and how he contribute. Yes, I remember Osa's been great in camp and he's going to be good, but I also want to get him help, which is why Michael's going to come back and we want Alfred Collins and CJ West because I want to keep Osa fresh too for December and January. So he's going to be great. We already know he's going to be great. Hopefully, Bosa comes back, stays healthy, and if we can trade for somebody at the deadline or get Jesse Bates in here, would be great. Forgot to mention Dre Greenlaw, and also going to be amazing to see Fred and Greenlaw back together on the field. Yes, yeah. Go ahead, Drew. You want to say something?
Well, yeah. Next to Osa too, my guy Grayson Holton. Like I want to see
Holton. Forgot about him. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the guy I'm thinking on for us. I think he can shoot up the day. He'll shoot up the depth chart, and he'll be getting a lot of those snaps. Because I think he's a baller. He's
He's been playing good in camp and had 2 great preseasons. We're going to see him again tomorrow. So this is going to see more chances. So everyone pay attention to Grayson Holton tomorrow. Phineas Pricesock, including with Deshaun, we already know Stribling is going to be good, and he's going to be a part of his game plan. He's already proven it, which is hard to do underneath a rookie for Kyle Shanahan receiver. We know how he deals with them, right, or with running backs. He's very strict on the young guys on how they pay attention to detail, where to line up, and what to do. And yes, getting Greenlaw back is huge.
Yeah, Shanahan being an ex-receiver. He played receiver at the University of Texas. So he's always the hard. I've heard Deebo Samuel talk about it. Baron, you talk about it. Like Kyle can be annoying. He can be annoying to the receivers. He treats them.
Yeah, definitely. Yep.
So he's somebody that he's tough on his receivers. He wants them to play well. Of course, he wants everybody to play well, but that's one of the groups he's kind of a stickler on, because it's also so important for his concept, right? When his scheme, you have to, it's almost similar to that Bill Walsh vein where if you do X, Y, Z, this will happen. Just do what I say. If you don't do it, you're going to throw off this whole thing. Everything's very interdependent in our offense. It's if it's a certain amount of drops, a certain amount of steps in your drop, it has to come out. It's that thing. It's that Bill Walsh West Coast offense type of
timing. Yep.
Timing. That Bill Walsh West Coast DNA. So it's really important. He's always heavy on his receivers about that. But I mean, we talked about it, like my number one concern really with the 49ers is safety.
Me too.
When it comes to I want to McNeil Warren from
I know we were. I remember that draft. I remember. I was like, he's right there. He's right there. He's right there. Go get him. Get him. Okay, we traded out of that. I know we got Romello Height, who I'm hoping to be great. They're saying things are weird with him, but I would have took him right there. You still could have got Romello Height. Still, I would have took that and just give a chance to him. Give a chance to him. Doesn't work out, but still, at the pick where you're at, that value would have been perfect.
For sure. Well, I mean, we ended up getting Stripling, so it was like,
I'm happy with strips. Yep.
Yeah, but it's like, with Jair Brown, his rookie year, he came in and when he took over for Hufanga and Hufanga got hurt, he played well. He got an interception in the Super Bowl.
Played very good. Yeah,
he played well. And since then, he's just kind of just. I know he was battling the knee thing a little bit, and he was trying to shake back from that. And the same thing with Mustafa. They just one thing too. They miss a lot of tackles. They get caught peeking a lot. It's just a lot. I'm like, nah.
When you see those big runs, like you said, and the missed tackles, the bad angles, like those big runs that Travis Etienne had. I know D. Winters missed on some, or like some other running backs you see that have big runs or missed tackles. It always happens because of them. And they're not coming up the box. They're coming up in the middle, like when we had Jaquaski Tart, Pop Tart, who they used to go, or Jimmy Ward, these hard-hitting safeties, or like a Whitner or Goldson back in the day. So we had great safety play for like 10, 15 years, and we're not used to getting beat over the top in those big plays like that, because that was shut off the field whenever that Niners defense was on display.
Deshaun Gibson came in for us.
Deshaun Gibson was great too.
Off the street was balling.
Super Bowl year, he was great too.
One of those underrated players in the last couple of years for the Niners. He was great.
He's a great leader.
Yeah.
Great leader.
That's the only thing that really. I mean, of course, outside of injuries, but as far as his personnel wise, the safety. That's the only thing I really kind of worry about. I do think we'll figure. I think the pass rush will be better this year.
I agree completely.
That one player, who I don't talk about, we'll see. What happens with him. But if Michael is healthy, height comes along, and we're able to be creative with our rush. Get pressure from it. If you get pressure from the inside, it's going to just create a little more chaos. We just kind of get sacks by committee. We might not have somebody with 17 sacks this year, but if we can just get consistent pressure by committee, get the pressure rate up, knock down some passes, force some bad throws that lead to interceptions, stuff like that. We can make up for those, because sack numbers don't always tell the full story. So but the pressure rate is important. Of course, you want to get home.
That's what it is. Get
off the field, but if you can, you can force some bad throws and things like that lead to turnovers. That'll be amazing. I like with linebacker report, like you said. Me and the Dream said, Fred and Dre Greenlaw would know what that is. But for that third linebacker spot,
Duggar.
Duggar, I know Duggar's your guy. Garrett Wallow's been balling too, though. I like Wallow.
Mm-hmm.
Wallow's a good player. He's made himself a factor. I'm again Florida State. Those are my guys. Tatum Bethune. He's worked his way from being a 6th-round pick and the balance.
He was a late-round pick. Yep, in 24.
Being a special teams guy now, he's battling for to start. Nick Martin, super athletic, flies around. Sometimes he has to be a little more disciplined, just breaking down. You don't want to be missing tackles.
Wrapping up and tackling. He needs to learn that. I think he's very talented and very good. He could still probably be on the team, but he's just got to learn some mechanics.
Yeah, because even if he doesn't, I think because the way he shoots out of a cannon, so even just that energy alone is good for special teams. So it's like Nick Martin. I think he'll find a way. There's a lot of talent there. Niners not going to let him go. Corner, I'm happy with our corners. I'm
very good. It's a deep corner room.
Upton Stout is getting more and more confident. He has some his little bumps and bruises as a rookie, but he's super tough. He has the right mindset. He wants to be great. It kind of reminds me of, because if you remember, you see how good Diamador Lenore is now.
Mm-hmm.
But he struggled a lot early. He used to get beat a lot.
Yes, I do remember that his rookie year, and the year after that, he kind of got in the late 2022. He kind of started to figure it out. I think
yeah.
He was getting beat. I remember that game he had that good game against Philly in 21.
Yes, Philly, yeah.
Yeah, he was him and Jimmy Ward back there, and everyone was like back there. He was kind of learning some things. He did stop a touchdown that called the callback. That week 3 game against Green Bay where Aaron Rodgers was just picking him apart. Well, this was MVP Aaron Rodgers, like end of Aaron Rodgers' peak. So he was like getting passes thrown right over his head, being caught by like Marquez Valdez-Scantling or Devontae Adams last times in Green Bay, and he was getting burnt by like David Blau, I guess, in 2022, and then there was someone like there was some other where he was getting beat by some other guys in 22. But when the playoffs began that year, that's where he started to take a turn. Like, you got picked off Dak, picked off Geno, and then he shut down A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith in that championship game where Brock Purdy got. And then I was like, okay, we have 2 elite corners with Travarius Ward and him. So then now that he's taking that leader, the Hyena's taking that next step now, and he's probably a top 5, top 10 corner now. And along with Renardo Green coming in, and he's showing in camp how good he's going to be if he stays healthy. Upton Stout's a green nickel corner. And you can move Diamador in nickel corner if he ever needs to play there too. Jack Jones is there.
That's his natural spot.
That's his natural spot, yeah. And he'll be even better there than I think at a normal corner. And it's not easy to play nickel corner. Like K'Wan Williams, where we had another rare guy who was the Shark, right? They used to call him. And how great he was at nickel corner.
Yeah.
Like, and then, but the secondary is good despite the safeties, I would say. And if they get trade for Jesse Bates, or if they get another edge rusher, I may breathe a little bit, right? Or with the defense. But I think that's where a lot of teams' weakness is. Guys that love to throw down the field, like Stafford. We're going to see like a Bo Nix or like Sam Darnold. They're going to attack that when they schematically game plan against it. But it's going to be something to see. I do like the running back room. I do still like the receiver room. Brock Purdy stays healthy. O-line still good. No concerns. They just got to figure out left guard. And
with receiver, I can still see us maybe trying to make another move because right now, Mike Evans seems like he'll be good to go week 1.
Yeah, hopefully they talked about it. He'll be ready.
He's had quad issues and stuff during camp. Of course, he had injuries last year, so you hope everything's good with him. The Christian Kirk thing that hasn't worked out at all. The big guy the person that stepped up a lot though to help out is Jordan Watkins. The light might be good at camp. Yeah, the light might be coming on for him now. So Jordan Watkins could step in, of course, with Debo, DeMarcus Robinson, and Jacob Callaway. He's probably going to make the team now too. It's a good room, but I do think it could be a little better. So I could.
Yeah, I agree.
Because it's going to be depending on depending on, of course, dribbling, of course. And it's really going to be depending on how healthy Mike Evans is. If Mike Evans is healthy and it's him is dribbling, then we're good. Because, of course, in the past, we still have Kittle, we still have McCaffrey in the past game. We'll be fine. But
can throw in Kalen Black probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tonjes,
another good pass catching tight end who had a good season, and then you have a blocking tight end in Luke Farrell. I don't know why we gave him that much money like last off season, but I mean, still he's good blocking tight end. We're going to need in the running game. Keep McCaffrey healthy. With the running backs that we have with Jordan James, Kalen Black, and CMC, they stay healthy. Like you said, that's the biggest thing. I think the Niners can compete with anybody, and I think they can beat anybody. It's crazy to say, but I mean, like they do. People think they're older or whatnot, whatever. They didn't have a lot of guys last year, and they were not supposed to. When Fred went down, I was just hoping a wild card at least, and maybe I don't know how. I didn't know if Mac Jones was going to be able to win, but he kept winning still, he kept the season alive. So I was like, okay, we're going to make the playoffs then, and I was like, okay, let's see how far we can. I didn't think they were going to beat Philly, and they did, and then it kind of got caught up to them in Seattle.
Yeah, I started to believe this thing. We'll get this figured out when we beat the Rams. When we beat the Rams, okay,
they'll be fine. They'll be all right. Yeah.
That was on my birthday too.
I know. Yeah, that's crazy. What a game! When you think, they're two touchdown underdogs in this game, and they come into LA knowing that. And someone was saying it. I was watching a podcast that week too. Was like, don't be surprised if the Niners win this game. Kyle's record against McVay when he's shorthanded, especially here at SoFi and whatnot, it is. People are people. And the money line's all in the Rams. You guys don't be surprised if the Niners win. People thought he was crazy. He went on his podcast at live right after. He was like, "What did I tell you?"
Yeah.
And like I said, that's what it is. You can't underestimate it. And people are saying the same thing about week one. Rams. It's different. I don't think so. And you know what's crazy? I'm picking the Niners in that game. I'm not trying to be biased, not just because the flight schedule is what they have, but is this that competitive nature? And I know that everyone's talking about, but he's 0-1 against him in the playoffs with Kyle versus me. Kyle still has the edge over him, is what I'm saying, is even when he's shorthanded. So that's what I say is like, this is where it is. And I think Niners will have everyone still who they need. And Kittle's probably going to play, which I think nothing's going to stop him from playing. This is just why I think the Niners are going to end up winning that game.
And also, too, man, I just have so much faith in Brock Purdy.
That too. I have faith in him rather than if I had Jimmy at quarterback right now. Okay, Jimmy was great at some moments, but average or below average the rest of his career with the Niners and in his NFL career. I have way more faith in Brock than him. Go ahead.
Yeah, Brock's a baller, man. Like, I think he's getting better and better. Like, I think one thing the national media and just fans across the country, just in general, get confused about Brock. I think most people don't really understand what type of competitor and what kind of stuff Brock is made of. Even yesterday, I was watching Fred Warner's presser, and he was talking about how him and Brock go at it in practice. Like, Fred's talking crazy. We said Brock is right back at him, like just competitive. And then, like, people think Brock because he comes to the game with little kid outfit on with the little
the backpack.
Like he's just some little goofy little kid or something, and he's Mr. Irrelevant. But I remember reading this article in The Athletic. This is a couple years ago when Brock, just like the year we went to the Super Bowl, like before coming into the season, and it was like how everybody in the locker room will make fun of Brock because his rookie year, if you remember, this is when Brock was number 14, not 13. And we beat the Packers.
That preseason game,
That preseason, and Brock was doing like the discount double check, the Aaron Rodgers celebration, and people in the locker room were like, "Why are you mocking Aaron Rodgers, bro? Who are you?" Like, you know what I mean? So people will see Brock in the hallways and do this to him, like, because Brock is made it. He talks a lot of shit and he's tough. Like, Brock's not like he's not what most people think
he is. Not weak-minded. Yeah, he talks strong-minded. The way you see him in the huddle and the way he gets on people, I did hear this article.
Yeah, he's all business. It's funny, like, sometimes like George Kittle being George Kittle, and Brock could be like, man, I'm not trying to hit. You know what I mean? Like,
there was like that during that Lions game, that NFC Championship. He's like, I can't wait to after this game when we're on stage, where how they had us in the first half. Not gonna lie,
Yeah,
you remember and he's like goofy, he's still goofing around, but George is goofy and serious at the same time. But also Purdy's like, I can't have it right now. Like I was I was sitting next to a Lions fan in front of me, and there was a nice Tongan guy next to me with his fight. He was like, "Don't worry, we got this. My sister's there too." And I'm in front of him. I'm just like, I just want to go home. I don't think we're gonna win. This is the worst day. I was just like, and then I was like, all we need is one freaking play. Coming out of the second half, I was like, we need a freaking touchdown. I told my sister, I was like, they need to go. And Debo was like doing this after that first 30-yard gain. I was like, let's go. I was like, what are we waiting for? And then Purdy was just like, no. Debo talked about it. Like he gets on us. Like he was cussing at me in the locker room. Like I was lined up incorrectly for this one play. And then I was like, I don't get upset. I was just like, no, we need to get this right because we're here to win. We're not here to lose, you know? At the end, it's all love at the end of the day, but it's tough love, right? Yeah, so it's just like we're just here to win. We're not here to mess around and be losers. We're here to win.
Yeah. And I think people don't understand that about Brock. And I think as far as how hard he works, like, you know, how people know how big Brock is, like how like big Brock has gotten. Like
he's got quads too.
He's worked on his body. Just his attention to detail, being the leader. Like Brock is the man. Like Brock is an alpha, and people don't really understand that about him.
And you're going to see more of it this year.
Yeah. So I'm you know, I think well, we got Brock and we got Kyle, we'll be good. You know what I'm saying?
This is the best quarterback. Yep, you're right. Since Matt Ryan, you would say, and I completely agree with it.
Brock is a top 10 quarterback in the NFL.
He's a top 10 quarterback. I agree with you. Like, people have him at top 12 or okay, yeah, it's reasonable. Or top 20. I was like, no, not top 20. He's better than top half, bro. I was like, come on now, bro. He's proven that too many times already, and he's proven it in coming back from behind, coming from ahead. You can win with Brock. And he can bring you back. Like he doesn't need teams. Like he doesn't have the Avengers anymore. He always had the Avengers to carry him. I was like, no, he's better than majority of these quarterbacks. He is, and they'll see it again this year. He was red hot last year. At the end of going, I was just like, damn. Imagine if Brock was healthy this year. I mean, already we had a chance at the number 1 seed. So, I mean, I'm very excited for him. And let's get to these quick questions, and then we'll get to our Super Bowl predictions if we'll go with that. Amin says Rams will always have the edge because they got Stafford at quarterback compared to – yes, that's another thing me and Drew were talking about is I do think that, of course, Stafford already has a Super Bowl added to that. I mean, and Darnold does too, but Stafford's the main reason, also a big reason why they won that Super Bowl. And not just crediting Sam Darnold, but yeah. What do y'all think of the Browns naming Deshaun the starter? Oh, yes. We didn't talk about this one. This was one other topic. What do you think, Drew, of that? I think I don't know about this one. But go ahead.
So, you know, one of my best friends is a Browns fan. Okay. I have a lot of Browns conversations every day, me and my homies in our group chats. I'm a big Shedeur fan. I've been a big Shedeur fan since he was at Jackson State, Coach Prime, the whole thing.
Yeah, Dion.
So I feel like Deshaun's the better option. Shedeur is the better option. The number one reason why I don't believe in Deshaun Watson is because I think mentally I don't think he can do it. I think mentally
he's checked out.
I think with everything he's been through and all the allegations and everything like that, and the way people would perceive him and how he looks to people, I think he's been mentally broken. I don't think it's to go out every day or every game in front of 50 to 70,000 people, depending on where you are. Everyone's looking at you and judging you and saying the craziest stuff to you. And he even mentioned it the other day about being able to face the fans. If these people say to him, like, I think mentally Deshaun Watson will never be able to get over the hump again. And because the thing is, with a quarterback, you have to be so laser focused on your job, everybody else's job, and be the leader and the calming presence, and also like just the leader of the team.
It's the hardest position to play in sports.
When you have other X factors going on like the ones he has, I don't think he can do it. Now, also too, the injuries that he's dealt with, like the bad injuries, the pressure of the contract not living up to that big contract. I don't think Deshaun Watson can do it. I just really don't. I think, I was watching Pro Football Talk and they mentioned, the first 2 Browns games were on the road. Maybe it being on the road, it gets him away from the Cleveland fans. And if he can come back home with 2 wins or something to make it a little easier for him to go forward. And if not, and it doesn't go well, then when they come back home, Shedeur will be the starter. So he can get, what I'm saying? So that's how I see it going. They'll only have them going to Jacksonville and winning week 1.
Yeah, me neither.
So I think Shedeur's going to end up getting the job. They're going to see what they have with him. They're going to, see if he balls out, if he be the guy. If not, they're going to be playing for one of those top quarterbacks, and they'll be a top 5 team picking in the top 5. Down there with Miami and Arizona, and playing for the first pick. But I don't think Deshaun Watson is going to last. I don't think he can do it.
Yeah, I think ever since so much how talented he was in Houston, and them trading for him and giving him the largest contract in NFL history, fully guaranteed, where you can't escape with that contract and everything. And then all that, like you said, it's just hard because that's the hardest position to play in sports. And they were cheering on his Achilles injury and him coming back and all that other stuff. So he was talking. He also talked about it, and it wasn't not easy at all. So I think Shedeur's eventually going to take over that position. Like you said, it's only going to take a few games or maybe a month of the season, and he's going to end up playing. And then see what Todd Monken can do with him and develop with him. And I think he's good. He's already good. He's that talent around it with Casey Concepcion and Denzel Boston that they got for him now. So we get to see what he can do, and we'll just go from there. And then one more thing, Drew, what do you think about this playoffs before we head out? And I mentioned a few sponsors, and what do you think? You have an early preseason Super Bowl prediction, and what do you think of the regular season will pan out? Do you think what do you think is going to go
on? Super Bowl prediction. I'm going to stick with my last prediction from last year. I think people stay healthy. I think Denver. I got Denver and the Niners. It's going to be hard. I'm not. This is the thing, man. I'm a Niners fan, and if we're good, I'm not picking something because we're a legit contender.
They are. They are.
So we're legit contender. I'm taking us.
Even if we were a Niners fan, just non-bias aside or a hater or not, you would say no. When they're healthy, they're contenders.
Yeah, we have a chance. So
next. Yeah.
If that's the case, Niners. Then in the AFC, I'm high on Denver. I think Denver's defense is that good. I think they'll get enough done offensively. I think Sean Payton's going to scheme. I'm not the biggest Sean Payton guy, but he is a good coach, and I think he will, get Bo Nix where he needs to be. The running game. They have an underrated offensive line. I think, I think I got Denver.
I agree with I you know what? I can't disagree with you because I kind of was looking at the AFC. Okay, Ravens coming back. You got Cincinnati, you got Buffalo, and you got the Broncos. My pick is either between the Broncos because roster-wise the defense was, and they would have been in the Super Bowl if it wasn't for Bo Nix. For surely, I think they would have beat New England. I do think from the NFC, if the Niners stay healthy, especially what they did with last year with this roster, and they got more deeper this year at the corner position, the pass rush will be better. We'll see what goes on with Raheem Morris. But if they stay healthy, I have them winning the division and also in the Super Bowl. I do. This is bias aside. I can do it, but it's just crazy for me to say, but I can see them in the Super Bowl. If they have all their guys, they'll do it. I think they're going to end up they're going to find a way to get to the Super Bowl. That's what I just think is going to happen. And they're either in the NFC Championship or in the Super Bowl. So that's either going to happen from by my side. From the AFC, I'm torn between the Bills and the Broncos right now. It's a toss-up for me. So they did play against each other last year in the divisional round in Denver. If this game, I'll say it. If this game's in Denver, I got Denver. But if this game's in Buffalo, I'm going to take Buffalo. So I am there right now. I don't have a complete pick. I kind of want to see what goes on, but it's either those are the two AFC teams because I do like the Bills roster. I do think they got better defensively and offensively a little bit for Josh Allen, but and I like the new stadium they'll be in, so yeah.
And every year there's always one team nobody saw coming. One team we haven't mentioned that could be that team, and they're always kind of mentioned, but they could. You never know. This might be the year. Is the Chargers? I feel like Jim Harbaugh might be pound for pound like the best coach in the world.
Pound for pound, yeah.
not just schematically, but just getting the most out of your teams, like he did at Michigan. Going into Michigan, man, Ohio, you have to beat Ohio State, and the way he dominated Ohio State those last couple of years he was there, it's just like, damn. Like when he goes to the league, I'm like, no matter everywhere he goes, he fixes every situation he goes. To San Diego State, to Stanford, to the
Niners,
like Harbaugh's the fixer, and so with a team that does have a quarterback with the talent of Josh, because I think I feel like Justin Herbert throws the prettiest ball in the NFL. When he throws a deep ball, there's no Josh Allen has a really strong arm. Mahomes can do certain things. Stafford, but just if I could throw somebody in the league, I'll probably take Justin Herbert's arm. So
it is pretty. That deep ball is like a laser, and it's perfect.
Bro, it's like textbook. It's like how you would draw it up, and so it's but it's still catchable. It's weird. It's super powerful, but it's still catchable. He's super talented. He can scramble. If their offensive line, if they can keep those bookend tackles healthy, they can keep Slater and all healthy, and Derwin James stays healthy on defense, and stuff like that. The Chargers, man, you never know. Harbaugh they end up being 13-4 and giving people a tough time. So watch out for the Chargers.
Yeah, you're right, and also not wanting to mention it. He's going to get his tackles back, and Omar Hampton and Mike McDaniel is there's OC. Him drawing up plays. He's went to Yale. And what he did with Kyle and Debo and the Niners, scheming around Garoppolo and all those years, and having developing whatever they could do over there. What he did in Miami those first few years with what he did with Tua and Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill, how freaking fast that offense was with Raheem Mostert and Devon Achane and all them.
Yeah.
And now you see Jim Harbaugh's going to have that with Herbert and the talent that they have. So they'll definitely be interesting to see. And it's going to be a good year. So we'll see what goes on. I'm going to mention these few sponsors, guys, and then we're gonna get up on out of here. So we do also have Mohammed Shiraan, LawPro Legal Services, Evictions, Disputes, 3-day and 30-day notices, residential, commercial, mobile home parks, and then also with Blaise Stanfield-Ellison Realtor at Interior Real Estate Services, a Berkshire Hathaway affiliate specializing in residential real estate across the Bay Area, and then Rallysport Engineering, Subaru repair specialist. Estimates are on 21015 Harbor Boulevard in Costa Mesa. They also have their auto spa, detailing interior, exterior clay bar, and also their auto sales. Quality used Subarus and clean titles and great deals. And and then also, Drew, I forgot to mention one more thing that we'd get into right before we close up was the entertainment industry with the movies, with the movie Michael. I remember we wanted to talk about that and any other upcoming movies of, we talked about the Odyssey. What did you think of the representation of, his nephew playing Michael? And what did you just think of the biopic and overall? And what are you going to be expecting in the next one of that? What did you think of Michael?
It was funny when I was coming back, when I was on my way to Toronto the other day, on Delta flights, they have, you could pick all the different movies. And one of the top picks, they had Michael on there. So I watched it again on the flight the other day. I watched it 4 times in the theaters.
Wow.
So
amazing.
And then and I watched it the other day on the flight. Yeah, I mean, I like the thing. The thing that I enjoyed about it was, as somebody who, I have a PhD in Michael Jackson studies, and there's a lot of things that Jafar did that, if you know Michael, he had to really study to pick up certain things he did. Even just certain ways he would pull on his jacket or certain hand movements and things like that. I'm like, yeah, he was doing his homework. I can see certain things and see where he got it from. Which I loved. There's an attention to detail with the performances, the mannerisms, the voice inflections on certain words, the way he would talk. I just thought I thought Jafar did an amazing job. Super proud because there was he didn't get the job automatically just because he's Michael's they had a lot of people auditioned for that role, but the tough thing was, Michael's a couple of Michael's old backup dancers, were training Jafar and training his body and training him on Michael moves. There was a time they were saying, I don't know if he's gonna get it, man. This is tough, but he just worked so hard, and you can see it, and so I loved that about it. I know there was a lot of cuts out of the movie for legal reasons. I think they couldn't talk about it in a certain way because so just like quickly when the movie got announced and it was go time for me as somebody who loves Michael and knows everything about him, and also the way the media reacts to Michael with certain things. It was going to be kind of bittersweet for me because I knew certain publications like Rolling Stone or Variety, Hollywood Reporter, places like that, Washington Post, they're going to try to write these think pieces about Michael and his legacy and certain things that, they think he did or whatever. And I knew there was going to be a lot of that noise. And I feel like this movie disarmed the negative perspective. You got like Michael's nephew, Taj said, you guys can't control the narrative anymore. They want the narrative to be something salacious and evil.
Yeah.
And the fact that they can't do that has them so upset. And it was super disingenuous too, because they would write certain articles about the movie and say what it is, and it's an erasure of certain things of Michael, whatever. But they know that's not true, because there was the original cut of the movie is almost 4 hours long. And they addressed a lot of stuff, allegations and stuff like that, but legally they couldn't keep it in the movie. So it's funny, like me being an artist, right? I know what it takes to do certain things. When the movie had to get reshot because they had to take certain things out, that takes a lot of time and a lot of money to do. The last thing you want to do is reshoot something that's one that you already thought was good, and two, to get everybody back on the same page. If I make a song, and I got three guest verses on the song, the last thing I will want to do is have to do the song over again and tell people to come back into the studio to do it again and pay more money. That's like one of the biggest headaches you can do in show business. So for them to act like Michael, the people behind Michael wanted to hide certain things or keep certain things out, just shows they're not artists, and they don't know anything about how the actual process is done when it comes to creating films, videos, songs, etc. Like, a lot of hard work went into this, and they didn't purposely do it. The last thing they will want to do is reshoot anything. That takes so much time. They have to spend. Now they have to go because you already spent. You get a budget from the studio. Once you spend that, if you have to do something else, now you got to go into your own pocket to do it. It's such a headache. So it's like to not add context to certain things and write it like it's something that they're trying to do to whitewash Michael and save face on certain things is just so disingenuous and disgusting. But to wrap it up, like I did enjoy the movie. Part 2 is coming, where they are going to address things, but they're going to address it in a different way. They have to they have to adjust around certain court things. But part 2 is coming. I'm looking forward to see how they do it, and I think it's going to be really good. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, definitely, Drew, man. I agree with you. I thought it was a great movie, especially with the way he portrayed his nephew, portrayed his uncle's part with playing Michael Jafar, man. The way he did it, despite all the the controversial stuff people were saying after, I thought it was great, the biopic. I can't wait for part 2, especially I'm hoping to see his Super Bowl performance in '93 against when it was the Cowboys and the Bills in that one, and
Yeah.
Him, continuing on the way he was brought up, and did it with Joe Jackson in the Jackson 5, how they showed all that part and in the biopic and everything. And I think it was great, man. I did see it a couple times. I want to see it again, actually, and I'm excited to see it again. Like, he's such an iconic figure where I don't think it's really hard to replicate, especially getting all that talent, all those people auditioning. Oh, just because he was his nephew, he got it. I was like, no, he had to work for that, including the dancers, having how to coach him and teach him some certain parts, but he kind of killed the role. But I thought it was great, man, and I'm looking forward to see the next one as well. Anyways, guys, last few sponsors to mention, and then we're going to wrap it up, and this should be good. All right, turning dreams into reality, one event at a time. Lit Events by Sabrina. Bring the magic to your next celebration at 707-290-3595. And got old electronics. Don't trash it, recycle it. We're on a mission to keep e-waste out of landfills. Their phone numbers are all below, including DJ Red Warning Entertainment Group, DJ and LED Wall, Special Effects, Event Production, Lasers, LED Bar. You can call it DJ Eric Lal at 916-838-6679. All right, guys, that'll do it. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Drew, once again. You guys can never reach him out. He can mention all of his stuff, and like he's done in the beginning of the stream, you guys can reach out to Brixx. He's rapper, artist, producer, and huge sports fan. Like as he mentioned, I hope you guys all enjoyed the stream. You guys all take care. Take care, Drew. Thank you so much, man. Have a good one.
See you, bro.
You too, bro. Take care.